Stellar Blade has been out for a little over a week at this point. I had no idea that this game was a thing at all until the trailer that was shown at State of Play 2024 was shown. I was not following the game at all beforehand. I didn't even know it existed. So when I saw that trailer, I was interested in the plot. I really enjoy these types of stories and games, so I was interested in the premise. Then the demo came out. It made me even more interested in the plot. The gameplay looked pretty fun and cool, so I was actually starting to get hyped for the game. It was starting to become like a meme in the community that people would only want to play the game for the hot main character you would be playing as. But not me, of course, because I was mainly into the gameplay and the plot. Totally. So after beating the game, can I personally say that Stellar Blade was worth the hype? Well, let's get into it. Stellar Blade tells the story of the main character Eve from the 7th Airborne Squad. She is sent down from the colony to a post-apocalyptic Earth taken over by MonStora the Natiba. She must eliminate Natiba to save Earth for the humans that have fled, and while she is doing that, she is constantly learning new things that make it harder for her to continue on her quest to save humanity. Let's start off with the positives of Stellar Blade. The first positive I have with the game is just how much the game takes inspiration from other games to become its own thing. The main inspiration for this game was Nier Automata. Most of you may not know this, but Nier Automata is one of my favorite games of all time. I consider it to be damn near a masterpiece in my eyes. I fucking love Nier. And you can clearly see what they took from Automata and put in this game. They both have a hot main character that's a robot. Both take place in the post-apocalyptic Earth where they have to fight enemies to save humanity. The main companions are good with technology, and there's a drone that flies with them and they can be used as a weapon. There are obviously more references and inspiration drawn from Nier Automata, but those are the main ones. The game also takes inspiration from the Souls type games. There's camps that act as bonfires in the Soul games, where you save your game, refill on health, and enemies respawn. The main gameplay takes inspiration from Souls types by being more of a strategy-based games with hard bosses and you're constantly gonna keep dying. I personally like this element because, yes, it takes element from multiple games that we all love, but it does its own thing with them. It's not a rip-off of Nier or Souls type. It combines them and does its own thing with it, which I really do like. It doesn't feel like a rip-off in my eyes, which is good. Another positive I have with the game is Eve herself. I found her to be a pretty cool character because of reasons. I legitimately love how much you can customize her. There's a lot of cool costumes you can have her wear. They're all unique and all that. You can change her hairstyles and her colors to make her more badass or in a more cute way or whatever you like. So that's cool. There's even little accessories you can add to her, earrings or glasses or something, just to make her look just a bit cooler and add more spice to the midst of her character design. So you can customize her to whatever fetish you're into. Just please don't do what I did. For research purposes, I took off her outfit and I was instantly traumatized. The next positive I have with the game is the gameplay itself. The gameplay is fun and challenging. It's like Souls type, but being more hack and slash, if that makes any sense. One thing to know about me is that I really don't enjoy Souls type games all that much. Yeah, I know, but let me explain. I understand there's a lot of people who enjoy that gameplay style of extremely tough bosses, having to be strategic and dying over and over, and that relief of finally beating the boss. I get that, and I completely respect that. But personally, those are not the games I usually play. I have nothing against them, but I personally don't really play those kind of games all too often. I like the combat in this because, yes, it is hard like Souls types, but they add in a lot of special moves and abilities Eve can do that make it more fun to me and make it more hack and slash in my eyes. The more you play the game, the more elements of gameplay they introduce, and they constantly make them fun and fresh. You can pretty much build Eve however you want to a certain extent. You have multiple skill trees that prioritize in different things like attack, defense, special attacks. You can obviously spec highly in certain skill trees to fit your certain gameplay style. You can upgrade her stats like attack and upgrade her equipment by finding little things in the world. You can give her equipment that prioritizes in defense and survivability and parrying, or you can give her equipment that prioritizes in better attack and be more aggressive. You get more attack bonuses when you have low health, or if you have more health, you have more attack, or attack speed and all. Like, I love the build diversity in this game. Like, all the special abilities you have are awesome to use. Like, each and every one of them has like its own special use. Like, one of them is good at destroying shields, one of them is good at taking out a lot of enemies at once, one of them helps you with parrying and knocking enemies down. Like, all of them are really cool, and they are flashy, but they're not just, ooh look, it's a flashy attack. Like, they all have their purpose. You do have like little gadgets you can use, but it's no Batman Arkham. It's just something like, this damages shield, or this knocks enemies down. They're cool, they can help, but they're not like Batman Arkham. They're just a small little cool thing the game has. Mastering the parrying and dodging was awesome, and you felt like a fucking badass when you pull them off. The game rewards you when you do perfect parries and dodges. Like, after you do enough perfect parries on a boss or an enemy, you do a powerful attack that takes away a lot of health, and for like mob enemies, pretty much insta-kills them. So you want to like get good with perfect parryings. There's a certain times in bosses where the enemy will glow blue or like glow purple, and if you dodge in like the correct way at the right time, you can like get behind them for powerful attacks to catch them off guard or make them expose their weak points. Like, I like this system because, yeah, it rewards you for playing smart and strategic. Like, you're not just going in there like smashing the attack button. The drone that you have, it turns into a gun with multiple ammo types, and it's fun to use. Admittedly, this was the thing I used the least. There are moments where it's mandatory to only use the drone, but the drone is cool to use different ammo types, and you can do decent damage. Like, those ammo types that you shoot out and it's like an explosive round, or it's like a shotgun shell. You can have like little homing projectiles that shoot multiple projectiles at once. Like, it's diverse and unique, and I like that. The bosses are extremely challenging to take down, but they are satisfying when you do take them down and spend over an hour trying to fight these fucking bosses. Most bosses aren't unfair, and they are fun to fight, but there are some bosses that are just flat out bullshit and stupid as hell. I will say that. Maybe it's because I'm just an ass player at Souls type that I just die instantly. Combat is good in my opinion. Like, I definitely had fun with it, but I don't really see myself coming back to this as much because personally, it's not the gameplay style I prefer to play that much. Like, I like to play games like Kingdom Hearts or like Nier. Like, that gameplay style is my preferred like game to play. Nothing against Souls types, but I really don't see myself coming back to this for the gameplay that much, even though I really did enjoy it for what it is. Final positive I have with Stellar Blade is the soundtrack itself. The soundtrack was composed by the same company that did Nier Automata, so it has that same feeling that Nier has, but it's also doing its own thing, so it doesn't just feel like a copy paste from Nier, if that makes sense. Like, Nier Automata, one of my favorite soundtracks of all time, and some days it is my favorite soundtrack. It's just that good. I love Nier's soundtrack. So when I played the game and I'm like, this kind of sounds like Nier, and when I did my research and I figured out it was the same like company who did Nier, I loved it. It was awesome. Definitely a good soundtrack. Onto the myths elements of the game. The first myths element I have with Stellar Blade is the characters themselves. I like the ones we have. I think they're all cool, and none of them are like really bad and obnoxious. They all have their personalities and they're all really cool characters. But I feel like we just don't get enough of them in the game. I feel like they don't get enough to do. I like the dynamic Eve has with the characters and the back and forth they have with each other. Like, it's great. Great stuff, but there just isn't enough of them and enough of those moments to say that they're great. If they just had a little bit more, then probably it would be a full-on positive for me, but the reason is a myth is because there isn't enough, and it kind of just feels like I wish I had more of them just going back and forth. But what we do have, it is great. Another myth element I have with the game is the story itself. It's not a bad story at all. I mostly enjoyed it, like going through it. I had a good time with it. But there are some moments in the story that just don't have the emotional impact that it should have. Like, there are some moments for Eve that make her grow as a character. It just doesn't hit as hard for me since it didn't flesh it out beforehand. Pretty much all the plot twists are pretty obvious, and I personally wasn't caught off guard or surprised by most of the events that happened in the game. Like, the plot twists aren't bad like at all, but they were just predictable in my eyes, so they kind of lose a little bit of an impact to me. I feel like if we had more time to flesh out certain story elements, it would be better as a result. Like, I don't know if making the game longer and giving us more time to flesh out these characters would make it better, because it is like a 30-hour game, and I don't know if like making the game like 50 hours or something like that would benefit it, but I feel like if we just had just a little bit more time with these elements, it would be better in my eyes. Like I said, I still really enjoy what we have here, but it could have been better. Another mixed element for me is the world itself. The world is beautiful. I love the locations they have, areas that are completely flooded, areas that are completely destroyed. Like, it's a visually gorgeous game, and the areas are gorgeous, but there just isn't enough to do in them. You can do like quests and find certain cans that Eevee likes for some reason. That's mainly it. They are mostly linear with only slight open world elements, but I feel like if there was just a little bit more to do, it would be great. The final mixed element for me is that there's only 2 points in the game where you get to pick a choice that Eve says and does. One of them is like a small dialogue change, which is like, yeah, it's pretty cool, it can lead to like a funny exchange, and the other is what decides the ending of the game is. I just wish they did more of this. It kind of feels pointless in the end. Like, yeah, a certain choice leads to what ending you get, like, that's fine and all, but like at the same time, there was another moment in the game where it's like you can pick something, but it barely ever happens. I just wish they did more of this. Like, you could have had a lot of cool pathways and like secret things that you could only do if you did this certain thing, but it doesn't do it much. It only does it at the end of the game. That's why it's a mix for me, because what we have, the small things we have are cool, by which we did more. Onto the negatives of the game. The first one I have is that one of the main villains is pretty lame. They kind of show up literally out of nowhere. I like their motivation, but they legit just show up in like a dumb way in my opinion, and it kind of just doesn't make sense. They are like shown throughout the game, but it's like the way she shows up is like, well, that was kind of stupid. Another negative I have is that the ending portion of the game feels extremely rushed to me. After like the halfway point of the game just feels like it's just trying to rush to that ending sequence. Up to that point, like, the pace was fine. It was actually pretty good. It wasn't too slow, it wasn't too fast, it was at a pretty decent pace. But once you get past that halfway point, the game is trying to rush you to get to that ending and see what different ending you're trying to do, and it threw me off a lot, in my opinion. Overall, I think Stellar Blade is a fun game that I did definitely enjoy going through. I had more fun than I expected I was going to have, honestly. Honestly, when I saw the game, I was like, alright, it's just gonna be a game with a sexy robot, nothing really else. But it was actually pretty cool. I was surprised that the game was actually pretty fun. But for me personally, it's not a game I would revisit as much due to some of the missed potential in terms of story, characters, certain things that they could have done to make the game great. And personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Souls type games, even though I did enjoy it here with the hack and slash formula. I don't really see myself coming back to this that much. There's probably gonna be a sequel to this game, and if there is, I will definitely check it out, because what we do have, it is pretty cool. I heard many different opinions on this game. There are people who love it and adore it for what it is. I've heard people say it's their game of the year. There's people who think it's a complete mess and it's not good at all. And there's just people that just think, it's fine. It's a fine experience. If you're really into the Souls type formula and want to see it in a more hack and slash formula with pretty cool gameplay and a entertaining story, I think you're gonna love this. I'm gonna give Stellar Blade a 7.5 out of 10. That's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this review of Stellar Blade. If you guys want more reviews, then let me know, like certain games that are coming out. And if you guys like any Kingdom Hearts videos, that's mostly what I post on here, then you're gonna want to subscribe, because most of the videos I post are Kingdom Hearts related. Leave a like and share it to everybody so this video gets more traction. I appreciate all of you guys who subscribe and watch the video, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Take care.